Hey, what's up, spooky fam? Today we are recapping, it is that time of the month, we are recapping everything that we watched in the month of May. Anyways, we watched 39 movies in May, which, I think we're back. We're back to watching like an exorbitant amount of movies, and it feels really good. So if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe, do all the fun things down below. Let's recap. Like, I'm gonna try to kind of breeze over things that aren't horror, that perhaps I'm talking about in a different video. I'm gonna try to condense so we're not here for an hour, but this is everything that we watched in the month of May. Also, go check out our recent podcast because we do go way more in depth to things. Alright, on May 1st, we watched, finally, Godzilla Minus One, and I will quickly say that my parents recently watched the new Godzilla X Kong film, and we went over there like as Godzilla was making its grand appearance, and compared to Godzilla Minus One, it just seems like a whole different. Like, this is why we don't watch, like, I don't watch those kind of Godzilla films. Godzilla Minus One is what I wanted out of a Godzilla film. It was full of so much heart, so much human, like, struggle, but also with a great creature feature at the same time. I really enjoyed it, and I'm so happy we finally got to see it. It's on Netflix now, so do not sleep on Godzilla Minus One. On the 3rd, we finally watched the documentary The Contestant, and this was so heartbreaking and frustrating. This was about a man named Nasubi who essentially entered this kind of whatever contest, but he ended up having to be in a room with no clothes, no money, no nothing, and had to live on sweepstakes alone in Japan. And I mean, he didn't realize that it was being televised, but it was, but only like the triumphant part, so he was struggling. Like, it's very sad. So anyways, he completes whatever. They take him on like the best day of his life. They take him to an amusement park. They just let him have so much joy just to bring him to Korea, put him in another room and tell him he has to do it all over again in Korea. And that's all I'm gonna say. That, like, it is such a, if you guys don't know this story, like, I feel like you guys would recognize Nasubi's face, but this documentary was just so frustrating to watch because the guy who, the producer, the guy who like put Nasubi in this situation is so heartless. He literally is so unbelievably like unforgiving, and it's so frustrating to watch him. But check out The Contestant. It is, if you guys like my picks, I really enjoy documentaries, so check that one. Also on the 3rd, we watched Lowlifes. I've already talked about how much I love this Tubi original. Don't sleep on Tubi originals, but I really enjoyed Lowlifes. Like, if you're gonna watch it, you might feel like skipping the movie about 20 minutes in. It kind of feels like it's something, but like, stick with it because it changes and it's so good. On the 4th, we watched a non-horror film, but we did get a screener for this, so I do want to shout it out, called With Love and a Major Organ. It's kind of set in the nearish future where instead of your heart being a heart, like an organ, like your heart is, perhaps my heart would be like a sponge or like something, I don't know, like something nice, like not a sponge, but like like an inanimate object. And it's just a story that I actually resonated with quite a bit, and I really enjoyed watching it. So once again, if you like my picks, check out With Love and a Major Organ. It has the sister from Violation in it, and we chatted about that film on this channel before. I did a whole video about how much I love that movie. On the 6th, we watched a film called Hanky Panky, and I know what you're thinking. It's like skip, but like don't skip. it is a, I'm gonna talk about this in an upcoming video, but I do want to like put this one on your radar because it is made, a group of people went to a cabin and literally no budget. They went and they stayed in this cabin. They all split on food. They're like, no money went into this. Nobody got paid. And everybody collectively owns the rights now to this, like whoever made this film. It's about a napkin that can talk, that saves the world from a hat who likes to suck the brains out. If you like films like that, like, it's so good. I really, like, Seth Green does one of the voices. Like, it is so stupid, and it's my brand of stupid, and we'll talk more about this film, I promise. On the 8th, we watched Abigail finally, and I've already mentioned how much I did not like this movie. It's fine for what it is. It's definitely a popcorn flick, but it's not for me. I hate that it was spoiled in the trailer so much. I hate that it feels like a ripoff of so many other things that it could have, like, not what it was. I don't know. It wasn't cool. It's a cool. Not for me. A film that I absolutely loved though, and that we will talk about again coming up, is Death Spa. We watched this with Joe Bob and I loved it. I thought it was so fun. But you guys know that I'm a sucker for 80s horror, so what do you expect? Anyways, moving on, we are on the 11th now, and we watched 4 movies on the 11th, starting with Cloverfield. Alex did a whole podcast on the Nefarious Things channel about Cloverfield and the whole Cloverfield universe. So we did Cloverfield, which was actually, it holds up. It really does hold up as a very good found footage film. And then moving on to a rewatch of 10 Cloverfield Lane, which also I feel like the tension in that film is so good, and it's kind of a fun watch. And then moving on to The Coffee Table, which I feel like has been kind of divisive lately. I won't spoil it. I will say, if you guys are sensitive to disturbing films, don't watch it. Whatever, protect your peas. But this one does, it's pretty extreme, but I have seen worse, and like I've always, like I'm pretty desensitized as it is, so I was actually kind of bored through this film. And I know, but it just, another one that I get it, but it wasn't for me. But also on the 11th, we watched Kevin James's more recent project called Kilroy Was Here, and that had no business being an NFT, but I love anthologies, so I'm kind of biased, and I didn't mind it. I thought it was fun. Check out our pod for more thoughts on that one. On the 12th, we watched so many things, starting with Mother's Day. We watched Mother's Day on Mother's Day. It was my first watch. It was Alex's first watch. I kind of put it off for a while because of the, like, violence, but like I said, I'm quite desensitized, so like by now I just kind of went about my day. But yeah, I feel like it's an obligatory Mother's Day watch. We followed that up with Crawl, and I won't talk about it because that'll be in a video upcoming. Wink wink. A new series perhaps. We also watched The Cloverfield Paradox, which I did not, it felt like, so I haven't seen that one until now. We will talk about that again soon. But it felt more like a mixture of The Thing meets Alien meets the Cloverfield universe, and I did not like it whatsoever. I literally gave it a 1 star. Okay, so I'm just gonna breeze through this. We watched CKY 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you know, you know. I've said it before, BAM till I DIE. I am the biggest Bam Margera fan ever, and I will rewatch everything that he's done from the beginning over and over and over again. So was just time to watch CKY. On the 17th, we watched Sasquatch Sunset, and I loved it. It was so I went into this with, if you guys didn't know, Sasquatch Sunset is literally a film, like an hour-and-a-half long film about 4 Sasquatch in the woods, just vibing. It's no plot, just vibes. But there is a plot, and it's full of heart if you really just stick with it and watch it. It is so sad. It's so good. I really enjoyed it. We also watched Hot Rod, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. Not horror, but if you know, you know. I love The Lonely Island. On the 19th, we watched a documentary called Tell Them You Love Me, which was, I would put it in the more disturbing. It's just because it deals with a woman who took advantage of someone who was severely disabled, and it's a piss off, okay? It's a piss off. But moving on to the 20th, well, it was a rewatch for me, but I made Alex watch a film on Shudder called Stay Out of the Fucking Attic, and it is what I would call Nazi exploitation, and I think it has some really cool practical effects, some really cool body horror, and honestly, I think it is such a great afternoon watch. We followed that up with The Furies, not to be confused with The Furries. It is definitely The Furies, but I did not like that. Another one that has really cool gore, but the story just falls flat for me. But we ended that day by watching Sting, and last month we watched Infested. This month we watched Sting, and I actually really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with Sting. It was different than I was expecting, but the little girl in the movie carried that movie on her back, and she was so good. Like, her performance was so good. That's what kept me going in this film. Also, I kind of like I have no problem with spiders, so this one didn't necessarily bother me as much as I feel like it might others, but I just thought it was, once again, another great creature feature. On the 24th, we watched Graduation Day with Joe Bob, which was coincidental because we just picked it up on DVD quite recently, so it was nice to finally watch it. On the 25th, we watched 4 movies, beginning with The Last Stop at Yuma County, which stars Jim Cummings, Jocelyn Donahue, and what's his name? Richard Brake. Okay, we love Richard Brake around here. He's a great character actor. But this one is like a one setting kind of, people are confined, very like tension, like, you know, in The Office when they're all like this. I'll insert the bit, whatever. That's what that movie feels like. And then after that, we watched The Girl in the Box, which actually is a Lifetime movie and feels a lot more hardcore than a Lifetime movie should. But this one stars Zelda Williams, and surprising. This is about Colleen Stan, the woman in the box, who is a real story, was literally kept in a box and like in confinement for over 2,000 like plus days. Crazy. But I wanted to watch the actual documentary about this, but we couldn't find it, so we settled for the Lifetime film. Like I said, it is quite brutal, but for a Lifetime film, like, it's a Lifetime film. And then that night, we watched The Strangers, and I don't know, for so many years, I carried resentment in my heart for the original, the first Strangers. I thought it was so ridiculous, and I thought it was whatever. But I feel like having so many like spooky, scary life experiences kind of made this watch, I kind of appreciated the subtlety of the first Strangers so much more. I feel like I've seen so many bad films that this has become a really great film, if that makes sense. But just watching it, like, every jump scare got me. I felt the terror, and it was so good on rewatch. So I gave it a 4 star. I am a Stranger's apologist now. I kind of don't want to watch chapter 1 or the new one because I feel like it's going to be ruined for me once again, but for now, I really like The Strangers. And then on the 25th, we watched, actually, I'm lying to you, I just logged them in reverse order. We watched Altered States before The Strangers, and that was also another first time watch. It was good. It was weird. It was great. Just questionable green screen, but what do you expect? 1980, love it. On the 26th, we watched 3 movies, beginning with Blue Ruin, directed by Jeremy Saulnier, who did Green Room, if you guys have seen that. Blue Ruin, such a good slow burn film. This is one that I would say is not A24, but feels like it should be A24. And then moving on, Alex put on for me the Lady Gaga Chromatica Ball. I, as a Lady Gaga fan, felt kind of let down by it, I will be honest. This is like not horror or whatever, but there's so many songs that I was expecting that I didn't get to hear, especially Paparazzi and Judas. It also, like, the bug costume for Shallow, like, that was not necessary. There was a lot of really good songs and a lot of really good performance, but I was let down. And someone on Letterboxd said that she said put your hands up like 48 times. It became like a joke after the 10th time, you know? And like now she's addressing it on her social media. I don't know. Anyways, after that we finally watched Splinter. And while I feel like this movie left me wanting more out of it, I don't know, I enjoyed the body horror aspects, but the characters were so unlikable, it kind of made it feel like a chore to watch. Okay, we're almost done. On the 27th, we watched 5 movies, beginning with Down, which is recently on Shudder. It is starring Naomi Watts. It is a very cheesy elevator horror. Possibly stay tuned for a new video. I will leave you there with that. Followed that up with Cannibalistic Humanoid Underground Dwellers, or CHUD, as you guys probably know. Not a good movie. It's fine for what it is, but like of its time, but who cares? I love 80s horror. I also after that made Alex, this is a rewatch for me, this movie called Tamra, and I wanted, so immediately we were watching The Strangers, right, and the knock at the door and she goes, is Tamra home? And I'm like, Tamra, we got a movie to watch. When I was little, this movie came out in 2005, so I would have been 12 years old when this movie came out. I remember I've told you guys this before, so like I've gotten a lot better with it, but when I was younger, so afraid to vomit. Even like a throw up scene on screen would have my whole life would be ruined. So this has a pretty intense vomiting scene, and I kind of stayed away from this film for years because of it, and rewatching it, I was like, that's it. I've seen worse, you know? Not a good movie by any means. Pretty cool body horror, but that's about it. Moving on, we finally watched Frogman, which I loved. Frogman rips. Frogman is so cool. There's a sequel coming out. Okay, I'm so excited. Frogman was another one of those films that I wanted to turn off in the first half, but once the second half starts, it's like, we're off and running, baby. Like, this is such a cool film. I also am kind of a found footage apologist, so this felt like more of an original idea with the creature. He was really gross, and like all the slime and everything, the lore, the story it was really cool to watch, and I enjoyed it. So I will say, if you guys are gonna watch Frogman, there's like 2 scenes where the credits are. It's not like completely after, but it's like mid credits. So make sure you like watch that because that will lead you into Frogman 2. And then we watched Brain Scan, which is a film that I thought I was going to hate, but I absolutely loved. I just didn't like the Trickster, is that his name? I didn't like his face. I didn't like it for so long. And just like seeing it around, seeing it in things, on things, but watching the film, I had so much fun with it. I really enjoyed it. But moving on to the last day, we're on the last day now, the 29th. We watched The First Omen and I absolutely loved it. I complained about Immaculate and how I had issues with Immaculate and how I didn't like it. I have like no notes really about The First Omen. I gave it 4 stars. There was like an ode to possession from 1981 in it. It was like, that movie really captured my heart and I enjoyed it so much. Oh, what a fantastic watch. Talk about some cool body horror. And then the last movie of the month was a whack-ass movie that I wish to have like never see again, and that is Tarot. I don't know what it was about this film, but it pissed me off. And I think it was like like so much exposition about the astrological signs, and it just kept repeating itself, and like, I don't know. That was a whack-ass movie. Some whack-ass CGI. Whatever. You know what? That is like a teen horror, gateway horror. Maybe we'll do a video on gateway horrors because there's a few films I feel like are better than that to be a gateway horror movie. And on that note, I will leave you there. Follow my Letterboxd. It is always linked down below. I will see you guys so soon. Let me know what you watched in the month of May. We are already at like 6 movies for June, so it's gonna be another long video next month, but whatever. I'll see you soon. Sayonara, spooky fans.